As you know from a recent video, this is my turbine-powered Vector Thrust J10. With all the intermittent lockdowns though, I haven't been able to fly it as much as I would like. After all, I don't think the neighbours would be too happy at hovering a turbine in the garden. So, next best thing, I picked up a second J10. This one's a bit more neighbour friendly though. Produced by Multiplex and offering either the J10 or Eurofighter to choose from, it's a very different foamy that should be a lot of fun in the garden, as well as being a perfect foamy for anyone who doesn't want to have to live up to the expectations when turning up at an indoor venue with an out-and-out 3D foamy. I'm going to be using the stock setup, all provided by Multiplex. Most of all though, I'm fascinated by the motor and the prop combo. The prop is a 6-blade piece of art and it's mounted right in the middle of the fuselage. More about that when we get there though. First, let's get building. Big J10, small J10. First of all, let's just get used to what's in the box and what all the parts are, both for the model and all the accessories. I'm going to be using all Multiplex accessories and their own glue as to make sure not to melt the foam. First of all, join the rudder to the fuselage, just add some cyano and some kicker. Do the same for the lower part, bit more cyano, bit more kicker. Same goes for the horizontal fuselage and wings. Everything has notches so there's no mistake possible. Just add more cyano, more kicker and we're good to go. Those notches come in really handy. Even the canards have different size ones, which mean putting them on upside down is impossible. They only fit in one way. So again, once you have them all located, all the notches, just cyano and kicker. And in no time at all, we have all the outline finished and put together and looking like a J10. Just a quick note, I've seen in the statistics that not even 15% of you are subscribed to the channel. So take a break, hit that subscribe button and make sure not to miss out on any future cool videos. Thanks. The kit comes with a lot of carbon strips, so measure them out and just make sure that you're using the right ones for the right locations, as you do have to cut them up and you don't want to cut the wrong ones. While doing so, lay them over the model and make sure that you have everything set to the right location and size, and then start inserting it into the model. It comes with some pre-cut grooves, so it's just a case of pushing the carbon in and then adding cyano and kicker whilst holding it down to make sure it's in the right place. We'll repeat the same process both for the fuselage, the wings and all the reinforcements in the model. As you can see, lots of carbon, lots of cyano, but this provides a very strong and rigid model. Now cut out the excess foam for where the motor's going to go, servos and all the slots which need to be split open so we can make the sandwich between the fuselage and the wing. Place the model upside down and glue on the underside of the fuselage, using a square angle to make sure that everything's at 90 degrees. Then slowly but surely keep adding more and more cyano and kicker every time. And then it's time for some more carbon rods, this time adding strength and rigidity to both the wing and the fuselage. The foam parts already have some small slits in them where those carbon rods have to go, so just locate them, cut the tubes to length and glue them in place. Onto the tail fins. These are glued in place at 45 degrees. If you don't have an angle for this, just use a piece of paper, fold it back on itself and that'll be 45 degrees. Add in the glue, kicker and you're good to go. The quick links for one of the sides needs to be filled in with the plastic tubes that come included, while the other side all we have to do is screw in the attachment. In both cases, just a little bit of cyano and glue them onto the end of the carbon pushrod. Open up the slit for the control horn before gluing it in place and then attaching the quick link. Same goes for the rudder. This time, because it's a longer push rod, it also has some extra supports. So slot those through before attaching the quick link on the second end and glue them into the small slits in the foam that are there already. Then glue all the servos in. Cut the push rods to length before attaching the second quick link to them. Attach everything up and make sure that everything can move easily and bind free. These are quite small servos, so the easier it is to move the surface, the more torque that leaves us with for actual flying. We now repeat the same process with the upper fuselage, slotting it into place, making sure it's at 90 degrees and gluing everything down. A couple more carbon rods, this time to add rigidity to the rudder and also to the canard area. And finally onto the motor and that gorgeous prop. We simply screw the motor to the back plate, which comes included in the kit, and then glue everything in place inside the model. Before proceeding to wire everything as per our own liking. It may not have a vector system like my turbine version does, but thanks to the motor's mounting position in the centre of the fuselage, this thing still has prop wash. And you know what that means. As well as normal flying, we can push it to 3D too. Without a prop on the front or the back, and the fuselage acting as protection, this actually feels really kind of safe as well, more so than normal foamies. We do still need to be careful though of where we catch it and where we launch it from. The build, as you've seen, was quite straightforward, with most of the time being spent just on gluing in all the different carbon rods. Let's go give her a fly and then come back to the garden for the do or die. there we go. Really agile, really fun, and a really different kind of model to fly. Interestingly, it still kind of wing wobbles in a Harrier at certain angles, just like the turbine version does. So in that sense, it's also a really fun and interesting model to practice Harriers with before going into or before flying the turbine version, which is of course a lot bigger, a lot scarier, and a lot more expensive. Hovers are possible. However, it doesn't particularly like recovering once it goes beyond inverted. So if you can keep it just shy of that 90 degrees, or at least avoid it coming back on itself, you'll be fine. But again, this is just like the turbine version. The turbine version is not easy to fly. It's not easy to hover or Harrier. That's part of what makes it so fun. And this thing really is the same but smaller and available to everyone. So I'm absolutely loving it. Anyway, we have one final test, and that is flying it in the garden. And there you have it, flying in the garden. No issue at all, and a load of fun with zero complaints from the neighbours. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.